welcome back to Peaks 47. I just thought I'd show you the next area that I'm planning to move on to. So here I'm going to be doing a stone quarry, limestone, which would have been very common in the Derbyshire Dales. So I'm playing around with some different methods of trying to get some stone scenery. I thought I'd just show you to start off with. So the first one I've been looking at is just normal insulation foam, and I'm looking to try and make this some rock uprights. So basically I've had a little play with one little bit, and I've essentially just shaved it in a vertical manner and then just simply painted it with some aerosol grey primer just to see if I'm on the right path. And I think once that's dry brushed and weathered and some different colours and some streakings of some moss, I think this may work quite well. So my initial plan is I've got this branch line running along the bottom, which obviously is here, coming around in this section. Top section I've got a couple of exchange sidings coming off the mains into these two sidings here, and this is where I'm planning to have a dugout quarry. So potentially a tunnel going over the mains with a big hillside that comes down off this ledge all the way down to the branch line. So where they've not dug out and there's natural rock, I'm thinking of using this method on a larger scale. So potentially down here, or potentially on this edge. And then I also tried some expanding foam, and I've just sprayed this on a board, let it go off, and then just scraped it off the board to see what kind of effect I can get with this. And I think again, this painted right, this may work as well for possibly loose stuff that's been freshly dug. So potentially that could sort of be sat round the edge. And then with the World Scenic's modelling sheet, could essentially have this on top, Scenic with the tunnel portal. I think may be onto something with that there. So I'm planning on having a little retaining wall along this bottom on the branch line that then goes up into a hillside, and then obviously it's dug out around these sidings. I've just bought this little wheels kit, a little halt, and that's what I'll have there for dropping off the workers. Got to work on this crane I've got, turn it into a steam bucket crane, so I need to put some sort of chimney on it, get some tracks on it, put a bucket on it, have that as the loading crane. And then I bought this offline. It was about £5, so not cheap. But this is what I'm going to slice down to about 20mm in height. I'm going to have that as a retaining wall that runs along there at about that sort of height, that then goes up into the hillside. So that's what we've got coming up at Peaks 47. I hope you can join me to see my progress on this next bit of the layout. Remember, please subscribe if you already haven't. I'd love some comments off you. What do you think of my ideas? Have you got any better ideas? Any advice? Yeah, any other ideas that you think might work better? What would you like to see next? I hope that you guys that have subscribed, this is the sort of thing that you want to see. Obviously, when I started the channel, a lot of this was already in place. I thought it'd be good to be able to start a new project from bare baseboard, and hopefully you can join me to see this gradually build up until it's at this sort of level that the rest of the layout's at. So the first thing I'm going to do is temporarily fix these in place. So this was one sheet. I've cut it into 4 equal pieces. And the idea is these are going to go along this edge of the branch line to act like a retaining wall. I figured I need to start here and work my way up. So I think I'm going to use hot glue so I can actually bend them slightly to follow the track, and hot glue blob at the back. Hopefully that should hold it in place, at least for now, and possibly might be okay to leave like that. So I've just used some offcuts of this insulation foam. I'm just loosely laying it around just to try and visualize what I'm looking to do. So this back bit will obviously be the end of the cutting. This will be the other end of the cutting. So then this whole area has been cut out and currently being quarried. So this will be more natural landscape following on from what's already there. Obviously the retaining wall is going to be sitting here, and then the landscape's going to come up from that retaining wall up and meet that, and I've got to work out how I'm going to put the tunnel in. Again, let me know what you think. So the hot glue worked really well actually. It gave me a bit of a natural curve, so it's been able to follow the track work a bit. I think that's going to work, look really effective once it's painted and weathered up. I can lose these joins with some moss, or I can even fill them from behind. You could do that if you wanted to as well. That's the first phase of giving me an idea of what I'm going to end up with. So this is a product from Scenic that we were looking at earlier. Really easy to cut with scissors, just be careful, it is super sharp on the edges once you've cut it. But just give you an idea. So we've put the insulation down. This stuff moulds really easy, and already you can see that that's going to make a nice little embankment there with not a lot of effort. I think you can either staple this down like Martin does on his examples on his channel, Warworld Scenics. I suppose you could screw it. I think I'm actually going to use hot glue just so it's quick, easy. I've already got it on. I think that's probably the method I'm going to use for it. So I feel like I can see already now a little bit on what I'm aiming to do with this cutting where they're digging out. Obviously the cutting coming round here, and probably the same up this corner. Probably work off this. Now I'm not sure if I want to put a tunnel over the mains to come all the way along here, or leave it open. I quite like the idea of leaving it open. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do we want to see a tunnel and a big hillside, or do you want to leave it open? I'm concerned of having a tunnel that it's going to obscure running shots from these angles when it's complete. Gradually doing a bit more. So I've just hot glued these bits in that you've seen, and then with the kitchen knife I'm just slowly started carving bits out of the foam to try and generate a convincing looking rock face. Put some slices in it, and these natural gaps I think will work well as natural fault lines like you've seen the examples on before this shot. So it's just a case now as I'm going to glue all this down, start stacking it, and start doing some more carving, and then I can think about how I'm going to start getting some landscape hill from this retaining wall down to the bottom of the rock formation. I've also found some scrap back seam that I had, so I've managed to put some bits together, almost just extend the layout a little bit now. So got some of this modelling stuff in the corner that I'm just loosely put in place just to have a play. Got some trees just disguising where the horizon doesn't join. But all in all, that's starting to come together a little bit, giving me an idea now exactly what I'm going to end up with. So I've hot glued all this in place now. It's surprisingly solid. So the method I'm using is just with a normal kitchen knife. And first of all, I'm just putting slices in it. And then just carving away just to lose the squareness of the foam. So this is where I'm up to now. So I've used this modelling sheet to cover the gap, and then we'll put the plaster Paris over the top of this. What I'm going to do first though is paint this insulation foam, because I'm not entirely convinced yet that I'm onto something with this. So I'm going to paint it up. That should highlight any bits that I'm unsure of. Then I can start putting this in place and seeing how we're looking. I'm not sure how much of the bare rock I'm going to keep. I've seen quite a few pictures where you've got limestone that's almost bare and then other limestone that's really covered and you can only see little bits of it breaking through. So I think if there's a few areas that I'm not quite happy with, I can just put a bit more Scenic on it to hide it, and the stuff that looks convincing I can keep more of its natural limestone colour. So give that just a quick coat of grey aerosol primer. Didn't fancy hand painting it, if I'm honest. I'm quite surprised actually how that's looking. That's looking a lot better than I expected. I think that's something that I can work with now, with possibly dry brushing it with white, maybe some weathering powders. I think that's the route I'm going to go down. I'm purely making this up as I go along, I'm not going to lie. But so far, I'm quite pleased with that. Let me know what you think. So this is what I'm going to use next over the white dry brushing that I've done. So this is, as you can see, it's concrete dust. So I'm just going to dry brush this on just with this makeup brush. Then hopefully once I've done that, we should be ready for some Scenics. So that's all the modroc down now. It's only been on about 10 minutes. But already it's going pretty solid. Really impressed with that Warwell Scenics modelling sheet. It's a lot easier and a lot quicker than using newspaper, or how I was doing the rest of the layout was actually using this insulation foam underneath it. This stuff, just put it on. I did use hot glue in the end. Just a couple of dabs in each corners of the sheet. It seems a lot quicker, a lot easier. So yeah, I recommend that stuff. I think I'll purchase some of that again in the future. And if you've forgotten what I meant, it was this stuff. So obviously that is hot glued in place. That's ready for modroc going straight over the top of it. There's a void behind there, so it's an empty space. I haven't had to pack it with anything, and already that is solid. So yeah, highly recommend that stuff. Really good product.